Hey everyone, finish watching the next episode of Power Rangers RPM and Action. Dr. K gives the Rangers their latest objectives, but before they leave the room, everything freezes, except for Ziggy. He then talks directly to the audience. He tells us he's going to show us the behind the scenes of how we save the world. The framing device of this episode is definitely one of the most bizarre in the series' history. This is quite different from past behind the scenes specials, since this isn't even really a special, it's an episode of the show. Kinda like Overdrive's special, except this is in the latter half of the show. Similarly to Overdrive's special, we have a ranger as the host, but unlike James McLurkin, Ziggy remains completely in character. The other characters also remain in character. Flynn then comes in and explains stunt driving. We get a montage of driving scenes. Dylan and Summer pop in and talk about stunts. We get a montage of action scenes requiring stunts. There's an explanation of wireworks, followed by another montage. Ziggy asks Dr. K to explain visual effects. After that, Tenaya 7 interrupts a bunch of grinders taking a break. Scott pops in and talks about the bad guys' evil plots, and then camera work, more stunts, and post-production. Yet another montage of action scenes plays. Scott fights Tenaya 7, and I have no idea how in character she's supposed to be. She seems hostile at times, friendly at others. It's Jem and Gemma's turn. They, of course, discuss the pyrotechnics. This makes perfect sense. I think this whole episode probably should have just been from their perspective. The next segment covers bloopers and flubs. We get a montage of mistakes, laughing fits, and actors getting tongue-tied. Lastly, the team plops down together and watches the episode they just shot. At the end, a list of credits roll by. Each person's name just says they were played by themselves. Tenaya 7's name is misspelled. Apparently, these credits are considered good enough for the actors because the real credits roll and leave out the actors. I guess they're still credited in the theme song, so they're not completely neglected. Ziggy addresses the audience one last time, saying he thinks Dr. K is going to make him a Red Ranger, and Scott comes in to drag him out. Well, this was pretty weird. Supposedly, this episode exists due to Chip Lynn coming in. This episode was intended to give him some extra time to sort things out. If that is indeed the case, I guess I prefer this over a clip show, though I would have liked to see Eddie Gazellion's take on a clip show. Maybe he would have done something clever with it. We'll never know now. This episode certainly stands out, for better or for worse. No other episode is like it. It definitely tops any list I can consider of weirdest episodes. I'm not sure if I like it or not. Most of the time, I can lay out my thoughts pretty clearly on an episode, but here I don't know what to think. I can say what I prefer this to. I like this better than most past clip shows, Dino Thunder, most of SPD, Jungle Fury, but I can't really think of many positives. It's a fun ride, sure, but it has none of what makes RPM special to me. There's no complex characters, no villain plots requiring a clever way to outsmart them. There is a bit of humor, but since these aren't even the same characters, really, I can't fully appreciate it. The whole episode feels like it's a reality show in Mojo's universe from X-Men. What if this episode is the real one, and every other episode this season is just the characters shooting a TV show? Is RPM not actually set in an alternate future, but actually just a bunch of goofballs in the main universe making TV shows? I like the idea of behind-the-scenes specials, but this is probably the most confusing way to go about one. I think this whole episode should have been in Jem and Gemma's heads. They're the only ones who break the fourth wall, or see the crew and cameras. This way, I feel the episode wouldn't feel as disconnected. In past rewatches of RPM, I usually skip this episode. In future rewatches, I'll probably still skip this one. I have very conflicting feelings about it. I kinda like it, but at the same time, I'm totally fine with ignoring it. A few Disney seasons had episodes I thought were cool concepts that could be explored in other seasons, like Ninja Storm's Wild Wipeout or Dino Thunder's Lost and Found in Translation. And Action, I think, is an idea that could work if it was from the perspective of characters like Jem and Gemma. If Samurai, for example, did an episode like this, I could see Spike hosting it. Or if Megaforce did one, it would be hosted by, I don't know, Mr. Burley? I have a hard time wrapping my head around this one, all because it's presented as just another episode instead of a separate special. Way back in Power Rangers in Space, there was a Funniest Moments special with Johnny Bosch kinda in character as Adam, along with Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus. That was a separate special, though, not presented at all as if it were a typical episode. And Action kind of feels like a series of DVD extras compiled into an episode, kind of like if all the Overdrive extras hosted by Spencer were put together. So yeah, pretty weird one this time. Not sure what to make of it. I wish there was more behind the scenes info available, though even if there were, I think I'd still be absolutely perplexed. So yeah, that's it for this one. This was quite the strange episode. I don't know what else to talk about with it. It's weird because there's no narrative that connects it to the rest of RPM. It's this weird separate thing, but it's also just another episode. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
Doc, we let the dogs out.
And I further decree that everything will be just like it was before all this happened. No one will ever mention it again, under penalty of torture.